One of the most annoying things about running a script is when you get the error that says file not found. What do you mean? I'm going to break down to you guys what absolute paths are versus relative paths, why it's important when you're just moving around the CLI, and then why it's important when you're running scripts. Absolute path is the full path. It gives you the file from the root of where you're at versus a relative path. A relative path gives you the file relative to where you're at. So it's like saying something like /michelle'sproject.app.py. It's like relative to where you're standing. The best way to think about absolute and relative paths is think about directions. An absolute path is giving you a full directions from the front door of a house, no matter where you're at. So if I tell you that my phone is upstairs, I'm gonna tell it to you from the front door. From the front door, go up the steps, make a right, then make a left, and my phone is on the desk. But a relative path is relative to where you're at. So if you are already upstairs, why would I tell you to go to the front door, make a right, go up the steps, blah, blah. I would just tell you, you're already upstairs. So relative to where you're at, make a left, and my phone is to your right. So remember in our previous video, we talked about PWD, print working directory. Knowing where you're at helps decide if you want to use an absolute path or if you want to use a relative path. When you're over on the command line, using a relative path is honestly just easier. But when you're running scripts and you're doing things and you're calling other scripts, you want to give the full path because you never know where you're running it from. So here's a tip. It's always safer to use the absolute path versus the relative path, because if a script changes locations or a file structure change, it's going to break, especially if you're calling one script from another. But that's for another day. If you want a more detailed breakdown, head over to my YouTube where I'll talk about absolute paths, relative paths, and understanding the difference between the both in a more detailed structure.